In the world of Astro City, you will see many familiar faces. The greatest heroes live here, not as you know them, but as archetypes, the embodiments of concepts. For instance, Superman is the Samaritan, the world's most powerful hero with a mild-mannered secret identity. Batman is Jack in the Box, a vigilante patrolling the nights, taking down his enemies with brilliant gadgets. The Fantastic Four are the first family, a family possessed of strange abilities who delve into the dangerous secrets of the universe, all in the name of science. But not every archetype is a familiar one. Even lesser-known characters exist in Astro City. For instance, the last angry geek exists in Astro City as the Furious Reviewer. But just how is this man different from the geek?
Gee, I sure did like that one more day.
This opening has gone on for too long and for too little.
Appreciate the following internet broadcast. Welcome back to Comic Book Issues. I'm your host, The Last Angry Geek. Well, without a doubt, one of the best books I've ever read is Astro City. It's been consistently entertaining and extremely well written.
Astro City is the brainchild of Kurt Busiek, writer of The Avengers, as well as the creator and writer of Thunderbolts and Marvels. Here he reteams with Marvel's artist Alex Ross, who designs most of the book's characters and provides covers for the series.
The interior art is handled by Brent Anderson.
The book has had its share of troubles. Mostly published in irregular intervals as a series of miniseries, the book did try a monthly publishing schedule only to return to the miniseries format. Recent health issues for Busiek caused a long time to pass between the publication of all 4 miniseries of the recent overarching story, The Dark Ages. A new ongoing series was announced at Wildstorm until Busiek's health took another downswing, and in the interim, Wildstorm was folded into DC Comics.
DC has a brand new ongoing series coming out from its Vertigo imprint. The best way to describe Astro City is that it's a deconstructionist story. That is to say, we don't see the adventures from the hero's point of view, we see it from their supporting cast, or their villains, or even the average Joe on the street. And since most of the characters are based loosely, or not so loosely, on Marvel and DC archetypes, we instantly feel like we know and empathize with these characters, and don't have to waste a lot of time getting to know them. With this new series on the horizon, I thought this was the perfect time to bring out another Top 11 list. My Top 11 Astro City stories. Why Top 11? It's a contractual thing here at Channel Awesome. Doug Walker was born with 11 toes. It's a whole thing. Anyway, number 11 is the usual cautionary tale about the perils of fame, told in an unusual way.
Number 11, In the Spotlight. Who doesn't want to be in showbiz? In issue 11 of the original ongoing series, we meet Looney Leo, a cartoon lion who gets pulled into the real world and becomes a sidekick of sorts to the Gentleman. Essentially a talkie-tawny to his Captain Marvel. He soon becomes a star of feature films, but as his celebrity diminishes, he goes into television and eventually falls from grace after he's embroiled in a scandal. It's the typical Hollywood cautionary tale with an atypical star in Leo. He falls far enough that the only way left to go is up, and by the end of the story, we find out that there are just some folks who will never learn.
It's a fun little tale with a new take on some of the sordid Hollywood scandals that we almost take for granted these days. But part of the fun of Astro City is it messes with the tropes we're used to. Number 10 is an examination of the relationship between arch enemies.
Number 10, The Samaritan Special. This story introduces us to a former slave turned master of alchemy called the Infidel. We see how he builds himself a paradise after the human race goes extinct, but that paradise is destroyed by the time meddling of the Samaritan. Enraged at his loss, he attacks the Samaritan, and since then both men have fought time and time again, until finally reaching an uneasy truce. Once a year, they have dinner, and try to feel each other out. However, when both men begin to see cracks in the other's resolve, we're left wondering if opposites can truly ever be on the same page. It's a story that shows us how the tragedies of life can either shape you into a monster or give you the resolve to fight for something better. Whereas one man is selfish, the other is selfless. But both are real people and thus will not stay the same forever. It's fascinating as the Samaritan and Infidel hate each other, yet have a transparent honesty that speaks of a special bond. It's an interesting idea that asks the question akin to, if Superman went evil, would Lex Luthor be good?
That was such a novel examination of the idea of opposites that I really wish the story had gone a little longer than a simple one-shot. But sometimes one issue is enough to tell the perfect story. Number 9 is an examination of the Fourth Estate in a world of superheroes.
Number 9. The Scoop. A young reporter gets his start at an Astro City newspaper. Looking over the framed articles written by the paper's editor, he finds a small one that only states a dead shark was found on the rails of a subway track. What follows is the editor's story of an epic battle for Astro City itself and how journalistic integrity led to the article the rookie read. This is one of the quintessential Astro City pieces that explores the phenomenon of superheroes from an outsider's perspective, showing how news reporting has to deal with a world filled with superheroes, interdimensional demons, and time-traveling soldiers.
Okay, we've all made jokes about Reed Richards being a bad father, more interested in his science than his own children. We've seen parodies of the Richards family on shows like The Venture Brothers. But what we've never seen is an examination of what it's like to be the child of a superhuman family from the child's point of view.
Number 8. Everyday Life. Everyday Life is a 2-issue story that follows the adventures of Astra First, daughter of Natalie and Rex of the First family. Totally immersed in her reclusive family's adventures, when she sees children playing a game of hopscotch, Astra realizes she's not like other kids. So, Astra does what any of her family would do. She goes on an adventure. As her family frantically searches for which of their enemies might have kidnapped their little girl, Astra immerses herself in grade school, living teachers, bullies, and competitive hopping. It's a sweet tale that shows winning a game of hopscotch can be an even greater accomplishment than beating an army of ant-headed gorillas. This takes the idea of a superhuman family and shows what it must be like to be born into and grow up in that world. Astro got a sequel years later, showing her as a now grown-up college graduate, but it's a far more cynical tale. I prefer this look at a young girl's life as she tries to follow in her family's footsteps, but discovers it's left her unprepared for being ordinary.
It really is a cute story. However, not every story in Astro City pays off in 1 or even 2 issues. Some are multi-issue arcs, and this next one is one of them. Number 7 pays off on a threat that Kurt Busiek set up in the very first Astro City miniseries. It's also a story about coming to terms with how people see you and how you need to see yourself.
Number 7. Confession. Confession follows Brian Kinney, a young country boy who's come to Astro City to break into the crime-fighting business. As he journeys through the sidekick system of the city, he's also dealing with the death of his father, a country doctor who died penniless and a laughingstock. Brian soon finds himself as the Confessor's sidekick, Ultra Boy. As he tries to unravel the true nature of the Confessor, as well as reconcile his own anger at his late dad, an alien invasion happens. First set up in the original miniseries when an alien scout decided Earth wasn't worth saving and signaled his fleet. Amid the carnage of the alien invasion, Ultra Boy finally comes to terms with his father, his mentor, and himself. He sees the mistakes that all three have made and how they let it influence them. By series' end, he grows into the man he may not have wanted to be, but the man he needed to become. There are surprises around every corner in the miniseries Confession.
One of my all-time favorite books is Dan Slott's run on She-Hulk. He had a lot of fun in that title by examining the idea of practicing law in a world of superheroes. Astro City did this as well, in a slightly more sinister tone. Number 6 is the final 2 issues of the Local Heroes miniseries.
Number 6. Knotwood and Justice Systems. This story follows young attorney Vincent Olek, charged with defending a mob boss's son from murder during the turbulent 70s. As a superhuman vigilante goes around punishing criminals, Vincent finds the only way to save his client is to introduce superhuman elements into the case. Can someone be assuredly dead when we live in a world where superheroes come back to life? Did the man murder of his own free will in a world that has mind control? Was it even him, or a duplicate from a multiverse of possibilities? Vincent soon finds himself in deep with the mob over this case. Will he win or lose? Should he throw the case in order to save his own family? It's a tense battle of good versus evil, both in and out of the courtroom. Ultimately, it's a fascinating look at another taken-for-granted aspect of our world that would be forever changed by the existence of superheroes.
For every superhero, there's nameless fodder for him to fight through. For every supervillain, there's a bunch of thugs for him to boss around. Let's face it, there's a high turnover rate in the world of minions. But even in Astro City, one small-time crook can have his day. Issue 5 is one such story, but it's more a case of being careful of getting what you wish for.
Number 5. a little knowledge. After a heist goes bad, local Astro City ne'er-do-well Jack Boxinger sees Jack in the Box take off his mask. Through some basic detective work and a little dumb luck, he soon comes into possession of Jack in the Box's secret identity. Initially elated, he thinks the world is his oyster. However, he begins imagining what could be done with this knowledge. He could tell his friends, but they're crooks as well, and they'd just sell it out from under him. He could take it to Jack's archenemy, the Deacon, but that psychopath would torture the name out of him and then kill him to keep the secret safe. All the while, chance encounters with Jack in the Box make Boxinger more and more paranoid. He's left asking, what do you do when you've got no good options left? This is an excellent example of superheroes through the eyes of the everyman. In this case, a common crook in a world of gods and vigilantes. It actually reminds me of the Batman animated series episode, The Man Who Killed Batman, about a no-name thug who's believed to have killed Batman, albeit accidentally, and how that kind of fame just ruins his life.
But the supervillain spectrum goes from small-time crooks to main eventers, your Dr. Dooms, your Lex Luthors, your Jokers. But what about the middle of the road? Those supervillains good enough to have powers, but bad enough that they can't do anything with them besides join supervillain groups and get continually thrown in jail. Number 4 follows one such individual as it asks the question, is redemption possible when you don't even believe in yourself?
Number 4, Tarnished Angels. Tarnished Angels follows recently paroled supervillain Steeljack. Having grown up in the slums of Astro City that produce a lot of low-rent supervillains, Steeljack is just looking to survive. But forces conspire against him, and when low-rent villains start turning up dead, the neighborhood turns to Steeljack for protection. As Steeljack reminisces about the mistakes he's made, he can see history repeating itself with the next generation of villain. He also sees how far superheroes can fall, and when he finally realizes what's happening, he has to put everything on the line, and for once believe that he can do something right. It's a fascinating multi-issue story that shows how villainy and heroism are sometimes just a state of mind.
Hey, we're living in cynical times, folks. Comic book companies no longer believe in long-term relationships. Spider-Man and Mary Jane got out of their marriage with a little help from the devil. After decades of being a couple, Superman and Lois Lane got rebooted into the just friends zone. But what if it went wrong right from the start? Number 3 on this list is the story of a go-getting young woman who falls for a man from another world.
Number 3, Shining Armor. Irene Merriweather is now a woman full of regret. She tells her daughter the story of how she broke down walls, becoming a mayoral aide when nuclear-powered hero Atomicus arrived from another dimension. Atomicus saved her life one day and a romance is born. She tries to put the moves on him, but he slows her down, explaining he needs a special lady in his life. She takes this as a challenge. She needs to prove herself worthy of him. As they continue dating, likable loser Adam Peterson joins the mayoral staff. Irene soon notices that wherever Atomicus is, Adam isn't. However, her every attempt to prove Adam is Atomicus backfires, and she's left looking foolish. However, she remains determined to prove herself, but when Atomicus saves both her and Adam at the same time, it looks like Irene was wrong. Later, when she learns Atomicus can create duplicates of himself, something finally snaps. Tired of his playing games, she exposes Adam as Atomicus, and it all goes wrong. He wasn't challenging her, he was trying to be worthy of her. An alien with no understanding of humanity, he'd wanted to observe and learn what it meant to be human while being close to the woman he loved. But Irene's constant attempts to expose him sour him on love and humanity. Atomicus leaves Astro City, never to be seen again. Irene's story continues, and we learn what it means to cost the city one of its heroes, but it's her daughter, whom she can't seem to understand, who puts things into perspective for the audience. How one regret can blind us to a lifetime of accomplishment.
Sometimes Astro City works best when it's not following another comic book's formula. Back in the 90s, Wizard was the premier magazine of the comic book industry. It got to be so popular, it began publishing half issues of popular titles at the time. Eventually, Astro City did a half issue, and it contains what many think is its best story ever. Clocking in at a mere 16 pages, number 2 on this list is a story that speaks to the pain of loss and the power of love.
Number 2, The Nearness of You. Michael Tinasek is losing his mind. Every night he falls asleep and dreams of a woman named Miranda. He knows everything about her, the freckles on her face, her laugh, but he's never met her. Michael searches for the woman of his literal dreams, but in doing so, begins alienating his friends and family, all for a woman he can't remember, but seems to know intimately, and it's driving him insane. As Michael slips into depression, he's confronted by the Hanged Man, the supernatural guardian of Astro City's Shadow Hill district. The Hanged Man explains, in the 40s, there was a referee-themed villain called the Timekeeper. When he tried to rewrite history so that no superheroes would exist, it unleashed a cataclysm of time-lost warriors across Astro City. Eventually, the forces of good healed the time stream, but imperfectly. Miranda's grandparents never met. She was never born, and she never married Michael, her husband. Confronted with the truth that this mystery woman was his wife and she will never exist, the Hanged Man offers Michael a choice: remember or forget. Michael makes his choice. It's swift and from the heart, as this story teaches us that love can defy even reality itself.
As much as I like that last story, I like this next one a little better. In my mind, the best stories are emotional stories. Stories that teach us lessons about how we should spend our limited time on this planet. About how we should treat others favorably if we expect them to do the same to us. About what a mistake it is to hurt people, and how pain can be passed from one generation to the next. Number 1 on this list, and my favorite Astro City story, stars a real doll. No, really.
Number 1, The Beauty Special. Beauty is a gigantic version of the Beauty doll, based on a popular toy we won't mention here. Actually an advanced robot, she's part of the Honor Guard, Astro City's premier crime fighters. She also has no idea who built her. Beauty has questions. Where did she come from? Why can't she remember her creator? Slowly, she pieces together her past. A past that she can't seem to make herself remember. Leaving herself notes on the wall, Beauty tracks down a little house in the suburbs. The house where she was built. She finds her now fully grown creator, a former child prodigy and the daughter of Dr. Gearbox, one of the Honor Guard's enemies. She built Beauty to be her friend and to help her father, but when he saw that his daughter had built a far more advanced robot than he ever could, he takes out his frustration and impotent anger on her. This in turn causes the daughter to think she did something wrong, and she sends Beauty away. But no matter what she does, Beauty always finds her way back to her. A painful reminder of her failure to please her father, and so she sends the robot away again and again. This story leaves us with a question. Can Beauty's creator let go of the pain and humiliation that her father inflicted on her? Or will she continually reject her creation the way her father rejected her? We don't get an answer, just hard questions. But maybe, just maybe, there's a bit of hope that the next time Beauty looks for her mother, she'll find her.
And there you have it, my top 11 Astro City stories. But just because you didn't see a story you liked on this list doesn't mean I think it's bad. I've yet to read a bad Astro City story. So do yourself a favor. When the new series comes out from Vertigo, pick it up. Not only will you be reading a kick-ass book, but you'll never quite look the same way again at the heroes who inspired these characters. Until next time, folks, this is Comic Book Issues, and I'm the Last Angry Geek.